Dear gentle viewers, the Sisters Sanditon thought you might like to hear our take on the ladies and gentlemen of the tongue. The hit show Bridgerton is causing quite a stir amongst viewers, and while Bridgerton is by no means Sanditon, or to be compared to Sanditon, it does deserve at least a little tete-a-tete.
Yes.
Wouldn't you agree, sister?
I agree with you greatly, sister dear. Now, our lovely story opens in London town, where we feast our eyes upon the luscious colors of lime green, chartreuse,
Magenta.
red, teal.
Yes.
These beautiful colors just pop out at us,
Yes.
and we see right off, this is going to be a different period piece than what we're used to, right?
A little more vivid in Technicolor,
Yes.
everything amped
Yes,
up.
everything amped up. And of course we hear the wonderful voice of none other than...
The incomparable Julie Andrews, who I recognized straight away. She has, to me, the most iconic and beautiful, just absolutely perfect British accent.
I agree. They could not have picked a better person to be Lady Whistledown, could they?
No, just perfect.
And what did you think about the name? What struck
Bridgerton.
you?
Well, initially, when I saw the preview and I knew it was coming, the show was coming, Bridgerton to me, I thought Sanditon, Bridgerton. They were sort of on, as a compared, the town. And so I thought Bridgerton was the town and the little, the place.
The name of the town where they all lived.
Yes, and I probably watched a few episodes. I was watching with my husband. He had to say, honey, it's not the town. It's the name of the people, the family. Their last name is Bridgerton. And I heard it, but it just didn't register.
No, I agree. I was under the completely wrong impression as well. I thought it was
Here we are in Bridgerton.
But like I said, it's London.
Yes, it's London
and
town.
If some of you noticed, there are some wonderful scenes from the Royal Crescent. If you've been there, we see
the Hampton Court,
right,
yes,
which
palace.
is the Queen's Palace.
They used a lot of really
amazing
beautiful
locations.
on location.
But we are at the beginning. We're introduced to the Featherington family, right?
Yes.
And I could not help but see Cinderella, the Disney version, the old version, the cartoon version with Lady Tremaine and her
the evil stepmother.
Yes,
and the daughters.
And the daughters. What were their names?
Anastasia and Drizella.
Yes, it was exactly like that.
Yes.
Even the colors.
The color,
they always wore the bright chartreuse and the bright pink. It was just like that. And so I
over
loved
the top,
that.
gaudy.
I loved it.
Yes, it really was a funny parallel.
Yes.
And I loved the scene where the mother was telling her when they were squeezing the daughter. And the daughter said, when I was her age, I could squeeze my waist into the size of an orange and a half.
Yes.
Prudence shall fit it, and I just...
Yes.
That to me, I just thought that was hilarious. Because you know to squeeze those little corsets. And I thought...
And her character...
Inch and a half.
She's our Bennett mother.
Yes.
She's our...
Yes.
She's perfect.
Yes, she is very funny. She's one of my favorites.
I love her. But did you notice a bee?
Yes, there was a bee flying around from time to time.
It wasn't even at the end of the credits. It kind of, right at the end of the credit, it was at the door, and I thought...
It was at the Bridgerton's door.
Yeah.
And, well, we looked it up because we didn't know. And to be honest, we haven't read the books yet. We need to get on the train.
Yes.
But the bee was referred to in book 2, I believe, and it was supposed to be a little nod to the father, the former Viscount Bridgerton, his passing. He was stung by a bee and died.
Yes.
From an allergic reaction.
Yes.
So, which is quite sad, but I think that was sort of perhaps his spirit in a sense, watching over them.
Yes.
Kind of there, hovering. He's still there, and what's going on?
A little with that
yes, it was cute, and I think it's something nice for the readers. It's an inside sort of thing.
I think so too. Yes.
To get
I think that they all probably got it right away.
Mm-hmm.
But we're introduced to the Bridgerton family, right?
Yes, and they're all named for alphabetical,
which I missed.
In alphabetical order.
I missed the first time round.
You did?
Yes. I didn't get it until the very end of the show when there's a reference to it, and then I thought, what?
She reads it in Lady Bridgerton, in Lady Whistledown, in the newspaper that she said she's making fun of us for having all alphabetical names.
Yes.
Well, the funny thing about it is that at a certain point, we realized we were missing someone.
Right.
We said, where are all those? And someone, who was it?
Who was it?
Francesca had vanished.
Yes, she makes a fleeting appearance and then she leaves the bar, which I thought was strange. Maybe she caught COVID. I don't know.
she had to leave. But Eloise.
Let's talk about some of the characters.
Yes.
Eloise. We love her.
She is such a different character than we are ever used to seeing in these period dramas.
Right.
She's so modern. She almost doesn't fit.
Yes.
I mean, she's out there screaming at the top of lungs.
Yes.
Make haste! And even the servants stop and look at her, and she's just, she flounces about.
That you say that, let's talk about that right now. This is not your typical Let's just get that out there right now.
Yes.
This is not a Jane Austen, first
Yes.
of all, and it's not even a typical Regency period piece.
It is
They
fantasy.
have chosen to make it over the top,
Yes.
do whatever anachronistic things they want to
Yes.
do.
And they said it's really almost a fantasy world of sort of a pretend vision of
Yes.
the Regency period.
Yes.
They didn't want it to be true to the time.
Accurate,
and it makes
historically
it,
accurate,
and it makes
right?
it more exciting and it's
It
something
does.
different.
But you just have to go with it.
Yes.
I mean,
Take it for what it is.
I love a good Jane Austen film, and I
Yes.
love historically accurate as much as the next
Yes.
person. But I went with it. I
Yes.
let my
and it's fiction.
preconceptions down, and
Yes.
you know.
Yes, and let's remember it's all fiction.
Yes.
It's
yes.
it's none of it really happened.
But let's talk about the mother.
Yes.
She was great, but
She
too
was
much
a great
cleavage. in
Oh
her.
dear. Sometimes I thought, is that real?
Yes.
It was so distracting.
It was. I
It
mean,
was
there'd be a scene between her and Daphne, and all you could see
I
was
didn't
the
even.
cleavage.
Perhaps that's why you didn't hear that they were named in alphabetical order. You were too distracted.
You could be right.
It was a little distracting.
Yes. And then
Yes.
Daphne. What did
Daphne
you
is-
think of her hair and clothing?
Just everything. You know, she comes across at the beginning. She's very pale and sweet,
Yes.
and you just think of her as being soft and gentle, and
Yes.
you know, she's got
the perfect
sort of,
innocent.
Well, yeah, she's, to me, the way they do her hair in that, like, half up and half
Mhm.
down, she reminded me of, like, Alice in Wonderland. Like, really sweet and
Once
childlike.
again, another choice. Her hair would have been up all the
Yes,
time out in
yes.
public, wouldn't it?
They
But-
all, their choices all over the
Yes,
place. Right,
yes,
and it's fine.
Yes.
But
See,
I
I
did-
did not like her hair.
Well, the
The
bangs.
bangs just, it looked like alfalfa. Cut down and to the side, and I couldn't.
Yes, they were not very becoming. The first scene, when she was presented to the Queen, she had those little tendrils. I thought it was pretty. It was pleasant. But then when she woke up the next day, getting ready to meet the suitors, it was like, oh, where did that come from? These tiny
Yes,
little
it was
top
like someone
bangs.
had taken it with a butcher knife.
Yes.
It was awful.
Yes,
And then as you saw it start to grow out later in
Right.
the show, and you saw, oh,
Yes.
it's looking a little better.
Yes, and I did read up on this, and they did say she was modeled after Audrey Hepburn. And I think it was War and Peace or something. So it was the same sort of time period, and I guess Audrey had those,
Well,
little,
I
classic
should have
thing
modeled her
for-
after someone else, in my opinion. I didn't care for it at all.
Do you want to say anything about her clothing now?
Well, it was beautiful.
Yes.
All the
All the
costumes. Let's say that right
They
away,
were
too.
amazing.
Amazing colors.
Every time I saw a new
Amazing.
dress, I just said, oh, I was
And
drooling.
the hair.
It was
Just
beautiful.
And the jewels.
Yes. The
The
big
jewels.
hair pieces
Fun.
and
I mean, we got to have fun for one. You know, did you notice no
Yes.
one ever wore a bonnet?
no.
That was a choice.
Yes.
They were going to have no Regency period
No bonnets.
bonnets, and they wore hair
They
pieces.
did have plenty of fans though,
Yes, they needed those.
which I appreciated that. Yes.
But yes, her dresses
Her
to me,
gowns.
some of them seemed similar, and I couldn't tell. Now,
Yes.
is she wearing the same
well,
dress?
I think she had that same shade of like light blue
Yes.
in so many of her gowns that it was hard to
It's too
distinguish
much
the
for me.
difference.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a beautiful color on her, and I guess it was sort of her signature color. But yes, it was a lot
Yeah.
of the same.
And then, I mean, her wedding dress for me didn't impress.
let's talk about that later.
You want to talk about it later?
Let's talk about that
All
later
right,
during the
all
wedding
right,
scene.
All right.
We're getting-
but
but
a
let's
lot
go-
of her dresses were, lovely, but some of them I did think, I
Too
loved
similar.
other people's dresses maybe a little
Yeah.
more sometimes, stood out a little more to me.
Well, hers maybe less gaudy
Yeah.
in some.
Yes,
sometimes,
true.
but she did have a lot of beading.
Yes.
They
which
were
was
beautiful.
lovely. They were.
They were, but yes.
Let's go on and
go on-
talk about
let's move on
Anthony.
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 I
Anthony,
call him
dear.
Anthony,
Anthony
but
was a
yes,
British.
Anthony.
It's a British pronunciation.
Well,
Let's talk about setting the tone of
Yes.
the whole series.
you're slapped in the face with it right at the beginning. You kind of know, well, I better buckle my seatbelt because we probably going to have some more of this in store for us.
This is
I
the
thought
type
it was
of show.
completely ridiculous.
Well,
Complete, and they're
out
let's
in the
say
middle
it
of
how I
nowhere.
wanted to say it. They're playing whist
Yes.
by the
So
tree.
this is our name. We're going
Yes.
to say plain whist, and you know what we mean, right?
Exactly. Every
Yes.
time we say playing whist, we mean
when we're going to be saying it a lot, especially in
yes,
episode
in another
3,
episode.
4.
But Anthony and Sienna are playing whist by the tree, and
Out-
the carriage
out-
driver
where are they?
is sitting there with his back turned,
Not looking.
completely
Just
ridiculous.
to me, out in the middle of someone could ride up. I just thought that was
course. And we know, once again, it was ridiculous.
Yes,
It
yes.
was ridiculous.
I think they just
Did
wanted
I
to
need
show.
to see it? No.
No.
But we
He
must
has
go
a-
along for the ride,
Yes.
and we must put our Regency purist views aside if we are to enjoy it.
Yes, yes.
So,
Yes.
and next we see all of the lovely ladies
Oh, when they're being presented
in the
to
white
the Queen.
gowns, which, as you can see, we tried to
We
channel
donned.
today.
It was a beautiful scene. Everyone looked so elegant,
Luscious.
and it was just
Even the Featherington girls.
even the Featheringtons. I didn't realize at this point that they were so gaudy over
Uh-huh,
the top until
yes.
I later I saw them. Whoa, they were in the
Yes.
bright colors because they blended in. They had
It was
Everyone
beautiful.
looked absolutely
They wore the
beautiful.
white plumes, which is traditional. When a
big-
girl is being presented at court, she would wear those ostrich feather plumes, and
Mhm.
Daphne looked absolutely exquisite. To me,
She did.
that dress blew her wedding dress out of the water.
Yes,
in
I
my
think so.
opinion.
That was probably one of her most stunning.
Yes.
And she had that long train and it had the gold embroidery.
Yes. And then we see
not
the
a
queen
hair out of place.
for the
The
first
queen,
time.
she was wonderful.
Wonderful character.
And I love how
her.
she's just,
Yeah.
you know, give me something to amuse me.
Yes.
She's so bored with a
She was
you know, and
great.
of course she has a husband who's sort of mad now,
Yes.
Mad King George.
And I looked this up because I wanted to see now you never think of his wife,
yes,
right?
You only really
So
hear about
what
him.
was she like, you
Madness.
know? And that was very interesting to see that they took this bit of historical, you know, it's something that could have happened.
Yes, no one knows. We
No one
looked it
knows
up.
what she was like,
What she looked
nationality,
like,
you
yes.
know, exactly she
Yes.
was. And
And
so I loved that
yes.
they went with that because there
I
is some
agree.
proof that
I
she
agree.
had she was a woman
She
of
was a
color.
woman of color. And I thought it was beautiful that they added that in, and it was in a way that really, really was just so appropriate.
Yes.
And they had so many just excellent characters that we kind of were thinking, well, who is this person? Like Lady Danbury.
Yes.
Who are these people? Why haven't we seen them before? They're
Right.
so wonderful.
And once
It was
again,
such a
something
great way.
we haven't seen in a period.
Yes.
People of different
Something that you
color,
don't
people
see.
of different nationalities. There
Yes.
was an Asian girl,
Yes.
right, who was
Yes.
fanning. I loved
Yes.
it. Like
One of the
it was
queens
wonderful.
Yes, and they had so much diversity and so much rich talent there.
Yes.
We thought, I've never seen Simon in anything,
Right.
and I've never seen Lady Danbury. You know, I hadn't seen them, and I think they've been in some things in England, you know, because
Yes.
they're actors over there. But just they were so good. I'm so glad that they brought them out to light, and now they're
Yep.
here and they're acting. They're famous because they're so wonderful,
Yeah.
and it, like you said, it was really neat to see them in a period drama because we
And
haven't seen that before.
Yes, and it worked.
And it worked
really
so
did work.
beautifully.
Yeah.
It was wonderful to see
And
that.
then after the ceremony, we're back at the Bridgerton residence, right?
Yes.
And we realized, or I realized on my second viewing of this,
When they
that
got the
this is the
pamphlet.
first time that Lady Whistledown has come out, has
Yes.
made her pamphlet. This is not something that's been going on.
Right.
Did you notice that?
Right.
You know, this is
It's
the
a
first time, and they're
new
saying this is a
publication.
new scandal sheet, and
Yes.
this was free. But look, this is different. She's giving people's names. And at
Mhm.
first, I didn't realize that. For some reason, in my
It
head,
was
I thought,
new.
oh, and so this is the person that always gives them the daily news or
Right,
whatever.
right. And it
Not
was new.
realizing this is new. This
Mhm.
character, Lady Whistledown, and
Mhm.
so I thought
And
that
I
was
think,
interesting.
and I think it was very different. Like they said, she's actually giving names
Yes.
because that's a lot more damning, as Lady Whistledown would say,
Correct.
to certain
Correct.
persons that are involved
Yes.
in
Yes.
there.
And while we're at the Featherington house, and they are getting these scandal sheets from Lady
Mhm.
Whistledown as well, they're all in a buzz because the
Yes.
distant
The cousin is coming.
right? Correct.
Yes. And they don't, you know, the charity case. They think, oh, poor little thing. She's
Yes.
grown up on a farm, and what's
Yes.
she going?
And
what
she
is
comes
she
in
get?
and she's lovely, and they
Penn goes,
dear.
oh, she's beautiful. Uh-oh, because her daughters are not exactly the
Right,
talk of the
exactly. Well, and
town.
she's hilarious again in that scene. She tells Penelope to put the book down because what does she
What
say?
does she-
You shall confuse your thoughts. I couldn't
No
help but laughing
reading.
out loud at that. And then what do they say about
And
Penelope?
then, you know, they're making fun of her, and she's trying to say, "Can I wait and delay my coming out
Yes.
to here? I don't want to try to get married
And they
now."
say,
Can you wait?"
well, yeah.
No, yes, you need to lose
Skin.
some weight, and
And
your
your
skin is
skin-
so hideous. Maybe you could cover up with some arsenic and lead. We
Which
just
is
thought
exactly
at first I thought, oh, she's joking because she's so mean. She wants to give her arsenic, and then I realized, no, that's
No,
actually
that's-
what they
That's
used.
what they used, exactly. Yes. And then, of course, we have...
Sydney's arrived.
Sydney! Oh, dear!
Sorry.
Oh,
listen,
my poor
I'm sorry.
dear.
Now listen.
Here,
Listen.
here, I wish
listen.
I had a handkerchief.
Let me.
I
I
could
know.
cry.
It's Simon. Simon. Now listen. You can confuse the two. Simon, Sydney.
Yes.
They're both
Once
handsome,
again, very
devilish
similar.
rakes. They ride into London town. They ride into town on their horse, looking quite debonair. And I mean, you can just tell again. He's a sort of. You can tell he's a bad boy.
Yes.
You can see by his cravat is not all.
You're right.
You know,
You're
tucked
right.
up. And at first he drives into his, you know, in the pit. He pulls out his little flask and he takes a
Yes.
swig. Well, you know.
And
And
he's
so-
a feast for the eyes.
Well, yes. Isn't that true?
Yes. Sydney's got nothing on him there. Well,
Well, we can get to that
we'll
later.
talk about that later.
They
But,
both have their good qualities
they
and
do.
their bad qualities.
They do.
Yes.
They do. And Lady Danbury is the
Yes.
one to welcome him.
And yes.
I love her.
Oh,
I think she's one of my top
I
favorite
think
characters
so.
in the whole thing.
Absolutely beautiful, absolutely elegant, just
Flawless.
witty. Yes.
Her
Talk about the
accent,
diamond of the
her-
first water.
Yes.
Flawless. Yes, she
And
was
so
wonderful.
she is going to be the one to host the first ball.
Yes,
right?
and she greets Simon. We kind of start to figure out later that she's sort of a mother figure to him.
Right.
But
And
we
she
see that they're
says
very close.
He's
and
home, and he didn't even
she's
like
home.
his father. She lets
Yes.
us know that right there.
So I know you're not
Listen.
grieving his passing.
Right.
Yes. So you think, oh, something's going on there.
Yes.
We're going to hear more.
Yes. But we move on to the ball, and we hear the music, and
yes.
so I'm sure a lot of you noticed that this is another fun twist. We have modern music, right?
Yes,
String
all
quartet,
modern music.
or different orchestras playing the modern
And what
music.
did you think of it?
I loved it.
I loved it too. I have to admit, I'm like not up on modern music at all right now, so I didn't recognize the songs immediately.
I didn't think you would, dear.
No, but I had
Ariana Grande, Thank You
know,
Next is the first one.
But they were beautiful. They were string quartets.
Yes,
I know some people were like, oh, it's all this
Yes.
modern music. It didn't sound modern at all.
It was gorgeous.
And I thought it had a perfect balance of the string quartet and a little bit of a jaunty tune or some sort of modern beat. It was perfect.
Yeah, and all the mamas are there. It's a lovely
trying to get
scene.
their daughters.
You hear little snippets of conversation trying to get, well, she's proficient on the pianoforte.
Yes, I have a rose garden at home. And yes, I'd love to show you my paintings.
Yes, and so
all trying to get their daughters married off.
Daphne decides to use Simon, right?
Yes.
To get away from what's his name?
From Lord Berbrook.
Yes.
Ooh, why did they give that poor old man some chapstick?
And so that's kind of their first meeting. I found that, that was very modern as well. Her going up to him and saying,
hey,
what's your name?
Pretend to know me.
Try to be my boyfriend type of thing. I thought that was very modern, but it's still, the whole thing was
that's
like,
how they met. Yes.
And
I thought it was funny how he was like, you mean you're going to pretend you really don't know who I am? They'll try anything.
Yes.
He thinks the ladies are just trying to get him, and anyone wants to meet him, and so they'll try anything to meet him. And she's just like, what are you talking about? He's quite cocky. However, when you look like that and you have money and a title to boot, I suppose you can afford to be a little cocky.
I think you can. I totally agree.
Mm-hmm. But it sort of reminded me of harkening back to Sanditon.
Yes.
The first meeting was a little bit.
Yes.
Who are you? I don't.
Yes.
I don't like you.
You're right.
It's
many
very
similarities.
similar.
And between our two leading men.
Yes.
So similar. Similar. At the Featherington house, right?
Yes.
Now we're done with the ball, right?
Done with the ball.
After the ball,
and Daphne didn't
she's
even dance
for
with
the
anyone.
Suitors.
She didn't even dance with anyone.
Yes.
We should say, Anthony.
He ruined everything for her.
Anthony.
Yes.
Anthony just said, "Oh, the best thing would be to leave them wanting more."
Yes.
So.
But she's left at home.
With no one.
And they're playing, once again, a wonderful song, Girls Like You, which I love. And at the Featherington house, that's where the gentlemen callers have come.
Yes, they have come.
Because
all of a sudden.
they liked Marina.
Marina.
I always get her name on. I can't get it right.
Yes. Marina. Yes, so we all thought that they were going to be flocking to Daphne. And instead, she's got no one, and they're all flocking to Marina because I think, she's this beautiful, exotic woman, and she's new.
That's right, and Lady Featherington thinks that they've come for her
come
daughters.
for
You
her
see what my colourful fashions have done for you?
My colourful fashions.
Oh, never mind. They're not for you.
No, they're not for you. They're for Marina, and, she's
the new up-and-coming.
She is the new, and Lady Whistledown even starts to write about it. And poor Daphne's sitting at home, like we said.
Yes,
she's
and then
all alone.
her and her brother go out on the ride.
They go on a ride.
And I really liked this. I liked this insight into the plight of a woman, really, in that era.
She says,
and it was very true.
Yeah, what does she say? Something like, my one duty, my one job is to marry, and if I can't find a husband, that's all I've been raised for. If I can't have a husband, I'm nothing. Like, I'm useless. I'm worthless.
That's how it was, which was so
sad.
Horrible.
Yes.
Which is why Lady Whistledown is so wonderful, especially in Eloise's eyes. Like, here's someone who's doing something for herself.
Right. She's self-sufficient. She's modern. She's going here. Well, and also...
Not just a decoration on someone's arm.
Right, but also, like, Mrs. The Viscount's wife, whatever, I don't know what they call her, Lady Bridgerton.
Yes.
Like, she wants her to marry for love.
Right.
Because she married for love, which is very different from most mamas also. She's like, I want you to marry for love. I don't care who he is, Right. I want, so...
It's true that back then, it was very important. Your one thing was to find a husband, but at least the mother is rooting for her to find love.
Yes. However, Anthony doesn't seem to care.
No. And Lady Whistledown has a wonderful little speech here, right, where she talks about the Duke. This was one of my favorites. He continues to grace our presence, and oh, what an impressive presence it is.
Sounds like something we might say, Sister Dear.
Yes, it does.
It's
I
quite
got
impressive.
At that point, and I said, you don't say, Lady Whistledown.
She's got that right.
What
That's
a presence.
Juicy piece of gossip.
Yes.
Yes.
There is a lovely opera scene that happens.
Yes.
And the Queen says, she gives us a little insight here and says that Daphne's impression was fleeting. And so
yes. Oh, quite harsh.
Kind of bummed by that, right? But this is such a fun scene because the mom, Lady Bridgerton. Whatever, Viscount, and
Viscountess,
Lady Danbury hatch their little plot.
Yes.
To
so
get
Lady
these two
Danbury asked her
together.
to
They've
join
both
the
been
box.
ruined by Lady Whistledown. She
Yes.
screwed everything up for them.
Yes.
Let's get them together. And doesn't your cook serve gooseberry pie or whatever,
Yes.
right?
She says, well, a gooseberry pie is a favourite of him. And she goes, it's just the thing my cook is known for. She's famous for it. Yeah, it's very cute.
Giggle, and so you start to see, maybe
change
something's going to happen here.
Lady Whistledown's perspective. So then the Duke comes to dinner.
Yes.
And again, I keep harkening back to Sanditon because I couldn't help. That's the last thing on my mind. The last big period drama, and this is the next.
Yeah.
And when they had their dinner, it just reminded me of the luncheon that Lady Denham threw for
And once again, Lady D.
Lady D.
I was finding myself writing Lady D, and I said, oh dear, we're going to get confused.
Yes, Lady Danbury, Lady Denham.
Yes.
And they sat next to each other. They were seated together, and they had a little banter
Some
again.
Words, a little banter.
Yes. And she again can show that she can stand up for herself and hold her own.
That's right.
And
she
he
tells
tries
me doesn't
to say,
have a good reputation.
Right. Well,
he
he says, oh, why aren't you smiling? You're next to me. I would hope that you'd be smiling. So, well, how could anyone help but smile when they're seated next to a duke? Like, you're so stuck up. You think everyone's going to fawn all over you.
Yes.
She doesn't. She's I wish. Pray don't think of me at all.
Yes.
And
she's
she
almost,
says.
It reminded me a little bit of Pride and Prejudice, almost, where she's, telling him what I really think of you. You're prideful,
you're
this, you're that.
Yes.
And so I liked that part. And, of course, he tells her maybe she's been thinking too much about him. Think us not just protested too much. And then, of course, it sums up with the mother announcing the gooseberry pie, and he likes that.
Great.
So.
Yes.
And, of course, after dinner, I liked this scene a lot, too. What did you think where the brother is sitting at the desk and the mother comes in and he's ready to pounce on her and, get mad at her. But she turns the tables, flips it on him and says, well, you know what? You're not doing your job.
Yes.
And are you going to leave here and go over to your mistress's house and leave everything to your two brothers?
He doesn't want a match between the Duke and Daphne because he knows what the Duke is like. He's his oldest friend from Eton. They grew up together.
He doesn't want a match between her and anyone.
He doesn't want anyone.
He screwed everything up.
According to him, no one's good enough, right? This guy was a gambler,
and
this guy's a poet.
Saying, you're failing in your job.
You need to find someone. Yes, and she says, so talk about duty, you know nothing of it.
Right.
What are you doing?
And of course we see, as she walks out, he makes that face at the camera.
And you go, oh no, now what has she spurred him on to do?
Right.
And we find out it's to be engaged to an odious old poop.
And he also first goes out and breaks up with Sienna.
Yes.
Very harshly, might I add. For the girl that he supposedly loves.
Yes, and I
dumps
admit,
her in the,
she goes, well, you said you'd always protect me. What am I to do? Well, what you're to do, you're to leave. I was just like, wow.
Yeah, ouch.
Yes. Quite harsh.
So that was a little shocking.
Yes.
But then after that, we see, okay, so he's going to now go, full steam ahead with the only suitor that does like her.
Yes.
We're at the ball, and Pen.
We see little Penelope.
Let's talk about her.
Yes.
I love her.
Yes. She's very sweet. I mean, she's sweet. She could be a little bit sharp, too.
Yes,
she's funny.
But I like her. I think her and Eloise are a great match.
They're great friends.
Good pairing.
Yes.
I think she's beautiful. I love her
pretty.
hair.
She's got beautiful red hair.
I just
and
love
she,
her.
she comments on how she's like, oh, Colin. You can tell she's got a crush on Colin right away.
Right away.
And she says, oh, mother's at home. Marina's sick. Which we find out why Marina's sick.
Yes. She says, and Pen says she finally gets to wear red.
Pink.
Not red.
She
gets to wear yellow.
Yes, the mother always wants to wear yellow. Of course, unfortunately, pink doesn't look too good with red hair, as far as I'm concerned.
But I thought she looked lovely.
But it's her taking her own.
Yes, and there's a wonderful moment there where Colin dances with her that, to me, I don't know about you or you viewers, but did it take you back to a moment from Emma?
Yes.
Mr.
Knightley rescued
with,
Harriet Smith.
Yes,
and he rescued her because Cressida, was that her name? Cressida came and spilled her drink on her and said, would you dance with me?
So rude.
Yes, and he said,
actually, I'm going to dance with her.
Yes.
And they had fun, and they were laughing, and I love that moment.
Yes.
And so Anthony tells
Anthony.
He tells Daphne that she has to marry
Lord Burbrook.
With the face.
Oh my goodness
what
gracious.
What does he look like? Yeah.
And he's just got these little pursed, chapped lips, and he's just got...
I mean, could she not do any better? But
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That can't be possible. She's beautiful. She's young. Everybody wanted her until Anthony scared them away. But you'd think that he could be... You'd think that he could make a match with someone. I mean, to me, this seems like one of those old, like...
But you know what?
You're going to marry him, to form an alliance with the family. He got the
conversation from the mother, and he's like... And she said, your father would have just gone and picked her. And he said,
that's
an old
family
I'll just
friend.
Take this guy.
So he picked an old friend,
He's got title and everything. He's good enough.
It's just terrible. To me, that was just like, why...
Yeah, that was horrible. But
why would you pick him?
As that evening...
And she said no.
Oh,
she didn't say like,
no.
It's going to be awful. She was like, I will not hear of it.
No.
And left.
But then as that evening is unfolding, at the, how do you say it? The Vauxhall
Gardens.
Gardens.
Yes.
As that's unfolding, we're seeing, of course, what's happening with They
Marina,
found the sheets
Marina, back
that
at home.
are white.
Yes.
And so what is all
and
this
at first
mean?
I
And
couldn't understand what
what
was going on. I said, why would it have to be today? And then later I thought, well, they probably don't wash their sheets every couple of weeks like we do, or every week.
So she's been there a while.
She's been there over a month, and they realize
she's pregnant. Which, of course, we know back then that's like a death sentence.
Yes.
And right away my mind starts to think, how is she going to get out of this, right?
Right.
You're going to have to literally find somebody to marry you now.
Right.
And then
Which
think,
then
the baby came early.
Right, which then we also find you really can't marry now. It takes a while to do all
right.
that. So
So we shall see how that shall unfold in the coming weeks.
But she says she was in love, and
Yes, we don't know that.
Sad, but
either.
we don't know what's going on with the man.
We'll learn more about
yes,
that.
yes,
right.
yes.
Well, we have
So Daphne left.
Yes.
She's in an anger. She's in a fit. She's in a state. I'm not going to marry that old coot.
And goes out on the dark walk.
Well, steps away from the dark walk.
Well, yes.
The dark walk, which we figure out is the makeout. Yes, Lord Burbrick.
He comes after
her, and she goes, Nigel, oh.
And accosts her. I mean, doesn't he grab her?
He grabs her. She's like, what are you doing? He's like, you're about to find out.
Yeah.
Who knows what might have happened
now,
if she had not.
I didn't like her decking him in the face. I'm sorry. I thought that was ridiculous.
She had a gloved hand, and
it was ridiculous.
It would have knocked him out.
A lot more than that, and she knocked him out.
I mean, she weighs no more than a feather.
These other men later in the show are boxing each other brains out, and they don't even get knocked out. It was ridiculous.
It is true.
There was too much boxing in the whole thing, and half the time when they get punched, there's not a mark on them.
Not a scratch.
The other time they look like they've been through a meat grinder.
Well, yes, she punched him and knocked him out, and he was all black and blue the next day. And then when Simon's in the boxing ring with his friend going to 10 rounds, he was perfectly fine the next day.
Did anyone else notice that?
It's a fantasy.
Sorry, but
it's a fantasy.
That was too much for me.
It's a
I
fantasy.
didn't like it. It didn't work.
So anyway, she decks him, right as she's decking him, who should emerge from the dark walk, but Simon himself.
Trying to say that
the dark walk.
Fast.
The dark walk.
And you pointed out something to me with your mind. Your mind was in the gutter. I don't know. But tell the viewers.
Well, he was adjusting his coat. He was putting back on his coat, coming from the dark walk. The dark. I can't say it.
I say
the dark walk.
That means absolutely nothing.
We all know
he was hot. Maybe he had taken his coat off when he went for the stroll.
We all know what happens in the dark walk, my dear.
I disagree.
And it's nothing that happens in the daylight.
So you're saying that he was out there with a lady?
He
one
was
of the
with
ladies
a lady.
from the ball.
Now, I'm not saying that anything was completely...
You don't think that they were
I
playing
don't know
whist?
that they were playing whist.
Aha!
Perhaps they were kissing. Something.
The prelude to playing whist.
Perhaps.
That's what you think. I disagree.
Look,
I think he was out for a simple walk.
No, he was putting on his jacket.
He said he wanted to get away from the mamas.
Yes, he got away from a mama and into the arms of
vote underneath who you think is right, me or her. Was he just out for a walk and maybe it was hot and he'd taken off his coat?
I don't know.
Or was he...
I think he was putting on his coat. Anyway.
Having a dalliance.
It doesn't matter. We all know that he's a rake and he's done it before and perhaps he's done it again. I don't know. But anyway, he comes in and he sees her her deck the old guy. And what's going on? And she's mortified because that's really embarrassing. But also she realizes I'm steps away from the dark walk with two men. I've got to get out of here.
And then they begin to hatch their plan.
Wait a minute.
And there's a wondrul... do you see how the tension starts building and the story is building, the music is building, and as they're walking in, we're flashbacking to him telling her, this is what we should do.
Yes.
Let's have this plot.
You see them walk in and you're going, what's going on?
Husband, I want to get away from my mamas.
This is perfect. This is a perfect ruse. We pretend to be a couple.
Was amazing.
The men will want you. The women will stay away from me. Yeah. It's a win-win. However,
the fireworks, the dancing.
The dancing is beautiful. However, at the end, when you see him start to dance with her, he takes her to him and he says, "Now you must look into my eyes. We must make this believable."
Yes.
Well, it looks believable to me.
She
I think
looks
it's more
like
than
a believer
ruse.
already.
Yeah. I'm a believer.
Yes. So am I.
Yes. She obviously is already falling for him.
Yes.
And let's be honest.
Well, who could help themselves?
Of course, he's gorgeous.
1 minute with the band is all you need.
Yes.
Yes, but did you notice how they came in hand in hand?
Yes, he's
instead of the traditional way, right?
Well, it was a little bit. It was sort of like this. It was a little bit. It was just.
I
really
think
low,
they were down there holding hands. Whatever. They meant it to be like that too, modern, so that they would shock all of us Jane Austen purists.
Yes, like when they had the electric light bulbs go off at Vauxhall.
Yes. Well, it was a wonderful scene as they're looking into each other's eyes. And fireworks are going. He's dipping her.
And I got excited. I can't wait to see this unfold.
For me, that is when I was hooked. When that plot came out at the very end, I said, oh my gosh, next, you know what, I wanted to watch the next scene. Yes. And it was like, the binge watching started for me. Mm-hmm. So, we shall see what Lady Whistledown has in store for us next week.
Yes, what scandals may she uncover next time?
Yes, well, tune in, and we shall find out together. We hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Dearest gentle reader, the Sisters Sanditon thought you might like to hear our views on the ladies and the gentlemen of the ton.
What the heck is a ton?
£2,000, dear. No. No. The ton. You didn't look this up.
Bridgerton? As in
no,
Bridgerton?
no, it's not
The
a ton.
ladies of the
The
ton?
ton is basically the English elite, the echelon, the fine ladies and gentlemen, the society, the ones who care, the ones who matter.
Okay, I got it. Sorry.
Yes.
Proceed.
Well, now I have to start all over. Wait, what's the line? Well, Simon, as a duke, you know, they never actually said how much a year did he make, you know, whereas Pride and Prejudice was going to say 40,000 a year, 25,000. Right. Of course, you know, I suppose he made enough. Whatever he didn't have, he made up for. Whatever he didn't have in his pocket, he made up for in the bedroom or in the observatory, on the lawn, or in the courtyard, in the park, down the alleyway.
Oh dear. Turn it off, dear. How do we know how long we've been doing it?
When you press record, you see the time counter up there. The time, dear. Keep an eye on the time.
Yes, and if you talk too much, I'll just poke you under the table. It always works. So we need to come up with a name, something that we're going to call the consummation of the marriage. Yes. Or in Anthony's case, not a marriage. Yes. Oh dear. Wait, so that we say this coin phrase every time it happens. We refer to it, yes. Something that's a little more appropriate. Yes. Making scones.
Well, that's so vanilla. Playing croquet. No, they don't do that.
No, did they play croquet?
No, I don't know.
Squash? Playing squash?
I don't know.
Gone out for a ride.
Oh dear, riding.
No, that's even worse.
You can't do that.
No,
playing whist.
Yes.
Playing whist.
Yes.
Doesn't that sound a little romantic?
Yes.
And
playing
whist. Of course, I hope they don't actually play whist at any time, because then it will get confusing. I don't think they do.
No, I don't think they do. They play cards.
Playing whist while playing whist. That sounds like something Simon might do.
That'll be it. That will do. Playing whist. All right.